Solvete discipuli. Audite. Are you listening? I hope so. Here is chapter 11, lesson part 2. So get your book open to chapter 11, get your chapter 11 notes ready, and let's have another short lesson on chapter 11. All right, the first thing that I want you to remember today is the assume verb. Don't forget it. It's like one of those foundational words in the Latin language. You gotta know the assume verb. Let's say it together. I wrote it here on the board. If you can see it, it's also on the back side of your chapter 10 notes, if you'd like to look there. Here we go. Let's say it together. Sum es est, sumus esti sunt. Sum, I am. Magistra sum, I am the teacher. Es, you are. Est, he is. Sumus, we are. Discipuli sumus, we are students. Estis, you are. Discipuli estis, you are students. And sunt, they are. All right, now, several weeks back, oh my goodness, long time ago, if we can remember back to when we were in school, we had just started learning about the imperfect tense. Now, there are several tenses in every language. There are tenses of verbs. Do you remember what the word tense means? Right, the word tense means time. And so the tense of a verb tells you when it's happening. Present tense is action happening right now. I am talking. You are listening, hopefully, okay? So that's present tense. Past tense, action that already happened. It happened yesterday, happened in the past. And future tense, and the future tense tells what will happen. All right, so in Latin, there are only 6 tenses. And we, of course, start learning the present tense. And then we just had begun learning the imperfect tense. Do you remember what the imperfect tense is? Okay, we wrote it down. I think it's in chapter 9 notes. It is a past action that is a continual or repetitive action. So it's a continual action in the past. It's a past tense. And we learned the imperfect tense of the assume verb. Okay, and that is eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, and erant. Those are also there on the back side of your chapter 10 notes. So don't forget those. The word erat means was. You should remember John 1:1, right? Happens 3 times in John 1:1. Let's say it together. John 1:1, in principio, erat, there it is, erat verbum, et verbum erat apud Deum, et Deus erat verbum. All right, so don't forget your assume verb in the present tense and in the imperfect tense. What does the ending on a Latin verb tell us? Right, not only does it tell us who's doing the action, but it tells us when the action's happening because of that tense. Okay, we're also talking about verbals. You remember verbals, right? Okay, this is that advanced grammar lesson that normal 5th graders don't even discuss. Something so advanced that I used to teach it to the 8th graders. Right, it's verbals. Verbals are verbs that act like another part of speech. And we've already been talking about infinitives for a long time now. You just didn't realize exactly what they were, but an infinitive is one of the verbals. And an infinitive is, you remember, right? To plus a verb, correct. To talk, to think, to walk, to speak, to write, to read. Those are infinitives. In fact, there are 3 types of verbals: gerunds, participles, and infinitives. Gerund is a verb that ends in ing and acts like a noun. Biking is one of my favorite hobbies. Right, I love bikes. Okay, so that's an example of the word biking, which is usually a word that shows action as the subject of that sentence. So gerunds, a verb that acts like a noun. Participles, that's the thing we're supposed to be learning here in these last chapters of our Latin book. Participles are verbs that act like adjectives. And infinitives, in fact, an infinitive can act like a noun, an adjective, and an adverb. But that's a lesson for another day and another grade, obviously. Okay, so those are the 3 verbals. Let's listen to the second part of chapter 11. Get your book open to page 80 and 81. And I will play the CD so you can hear them talking through this second part of chapter 11. And something very interesting happens at the end of this. Here we go.
Some builders are better than others. Flavius
Page
is
80.
supervising another group of soldiers who are constructing a stone gateway. Rufus enjoys watching them. Castellum ligneum delatum est. Nunc, alii milites, castellum lapideum aedificant. Omnes brigantes actonati stant.
Castellum solidum est.
Alii milites portam maximam aedificant. Milites descriptionem habent, in tabula pictam. Sculptor Optimus, a Flavio Iussus, in scriptionem sculpere incipit. Milites saxa maxima tollunt, brigantes collispastum mirabile spectant.
Mirable.
Cavete milites.
That looks
Hey,
familiar.
hell, saxa non in proprio loco sunt.
Subito, milites saxum omittunt, est flago ingens.
Ecce, es palmus mus, saxo paine, percussus.
Rufus murem sevat.
Ege, mus vivus est.
Euge! The mouse is alive! Good old Minimus. And his little nemesis called Rubrissa the cat, and Minimus, and how they help us learn our Latin. All right, turn to page 82 and let's go through the Latin root section. Trying to keep this quick for you. Number 1, why are the percussion instruments in an orchestra given that name? Right, it's because it's from the Latin root word percussus, which means struck. Any kind of a percussion instrument is something that is hit. And do you realize that the piano is a percussion instrument? Right, it's not in the percussion section of the orchestra, I realize. But in fact, it is a percussion because there are little hammers inside a piano that hit the strings. All right, number 2, what do you think a lapidary works with? All right. Lapidary. I don't think any of us ever use that word. That is a person. And if you'll look back to this story, let's see. Yep, it's one of the adjectives, lapideus, which means made of stone. So a lapidary is a workman who cuts and polishes precious stones, an expert in gems. Ooh, very interesting. All of us females would like that kind of work. Yes. We like jewels and gems and jewelry. Number 3, Westminster Abbey is a magnificent edifice. So explain this sentence using a simpler word. That's easy. Westminster Abbey is a magnificent building. Correct. We get the word edifice and edify from the Latin word edificium for building. Okay, number 4, the Picts were a tribe from northern Britain who were heavily tattooed. How did they get their name? Oh, brother, that's an easy one. Right. Of course, tattooed, so they had pictures drawn on themselves, and this tribe of people got their name from the Latin word pictus, of course, which means drawn. There's another interesting Roman report there. There's also a pretty amusing Greek fable there on the next page. So make sure you listen to both of those. And in today's, let's see, what's it called? Not homework drop, lesson plan. In the lesson plan part of today's assignment, you will find a chapter 11 worksheet, front and back. I'm going to put a blank one in there for you, and I'm also going to put the answer key. Right. It will take a great bit of self-control. Please go through all on your own, yours first. Fill it out, do the worksheet, both front and back, but I'm gonna include the answer key so that either you can check it yourself to check, see if you got the correct answers, give yourself an A+ if you got it all correct, or you could have your parents just look at it online, pull it up there in the lesson plan and check your answers once you're done with your worksheet. So, try to keep these 2 lessons real quick. Today is Monday, April 27, and this week included, there are 4 weeks left of school. All right, 4 weeks left. So, spoiler alert, I'm not going to post anything that last week of school. All right, we're gonna be free of Latin in 3 weeks. How's that for good news? All right, so next week, I'll come to you with a lesson for chapter 12, and then the week after that, I'll review a little bit and have you take your 200-word test and the end of the year test. Hopefully you will do well with that. Read through your 200-word list today. That'd be a great little exercise for you, mental exercise, and I hope you have a great day. Walete and te amo.